Hello, my name is Chris, and today I'm gonna talk about the Big Bang and the existence of God. All the evidence that we have today shows us the universe came from nothing. All the evidence that we have today shows us that the universe came from no space, no time, and no matter. From what I have noticed, pretty much most of the physicists and scientists accept this. Now, today I'm going to try to make a case based on this. Now, just as Frank Turek puts it, we have two options. Number one, no one created the universe out of nothing. Number two, someone created the universe out of nothing. Just as Frank Turek says, I think the second one is more reasonable. Both these options are miracles, but in the second one you have a miracle worker. Now, what you might ask now, why must the cause be personal? Why must the cause be a who? Well, causal explanations can be either of two types, as William Lane Craig puts it. It can be a scientific explanation, in terms of laws and internal conditions, or it can be a personal explanation. If someone comes in my kitchen and they see a kettle boiling and they ask, why is the kettle boiling? I can give the scientific explanation, because the heat of the flame is being conducted by the copper bottom of the kettle to the water, causing the molecules to vibrate more violently until they are thrown off in the form of steam. Or I can give the personal explanation, because I want some tea. At the Big Bang, you have no scientific explanation. There is nothing. You have a cause, that cause must be personal. Now I try to make an argument. Premise 1. In order for nothing to create something, nothing must be powerful and intelligent. Premise 2. Nothing did create something. Conclusion. Therefore this nothing must be powerful and intelligent. Premise 3. A powerful and intelligent nothing is not literally nothing but a personal being behind the universe. Premise 4. This powerful intelligent being behind the universe is what we mean by God. Conclusion 2. Therefore the cause of the universe is God. Explanation for this argument. Now you might ask, why is it that nothing making the universe doesn't make any sense unless that nothing is God? Well, I have some questions and objections now. Why is it that the universe can be created by nothing, not anything, but it doesn't happen the same with anything else? Why can nothing create something outside of space-time and space-time itself, but it can't create anything in space-time? Some might say it does. The nothing which causes these things some of you are talking about is not nothing, it's something in space-time or matter creating these things. And I don't understand what law stops nothing from creating anything. Now some might say that I'm wrong, but then I don't understand what law stops nothing from popping something huge into existence anywhere in the universe. Well, I actually do. There is no law that stops nothing from doing that. Nothing just doesn't create anything. Nothing should be able to stop nothing from creating anything. How could a material or any law stop non-existence from creating anything? It couldn't. Nothing just doesn't create anything. Some might say that particles come in and out of existence all the time from nothing, but that breaks the first law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Again, there are only two causal explanations, and we've established why the cause must be personal. So now we know the cause must be personal. By definition, if the universe wasn't created by anything, the universe wasn't created, but the universe did have a beginning, it must have a cause. If we take it by the Kalam and the law of causality, and well, what we see in our everyday lives, in order for this nothing to create this universe, to create the universe, this nothing must be powerful. It did create everything after all. And intelligent, it chose to create and it did create, which nothing doesn't do, and there's also the fact that there are only two types of causal explanations, and we can only have a personal explanation. But wait, this nothing sounds like what apologists usually mean by God. So it seems like the only way we can make sense of nothing creating the universe is coming to the idea that this nothing is not really nothing but an intelligent and powerful being behind the universe, which again, this is what we mean by God, this is what apologists mean by God. Conclusion, nothing plus nothing equal nothing, unless this nothing is not really nothing but an intelligent, powerful being behind the universe. Now this is one of TMM's objection, the Messianic Manic.
This assumes that the beginning of the universe requires a cause. The beginning of the universe is not like any other example of a beginning, however. Usually when a thing begins to exist, there's a point in time when that thing did not exist, followed by a point in time when it does. In other words, a change occurs. When such a change occurs, it makes sense to ask what caused it. However, the beginning of the universe is different because it is also the beginning of time. There was never a time when the universe did not exist. Since there was no point in time at which the universe did not exist, there was no change from a point in time at which it did not exist to a point in time at which it does. If no such change occurred, then there is no reason to account for any such change. You don't need to explain an event which never occurred. The beginning of the universe is just a temporal limit rather than an event at which something comes into existence. It is not a beginning in that sense. The universe no more came into existence at the Big Bang than a yardstick comes into existence at its first inch.
I'm going to give Rob's answer, Rob from Deflating Atheism, and Cameron Barthuse's answer.
And it's a contradiction in terms to say that anything brought the universe into being. To bring something into being is an action, and actions can't occur unless time already exists.
You're half right. An action necessitates the existence of time, but it doesn't necessitate the existence of time previous to the action. A cause is always coincident with its effect, so there's no contradiction to say that something brought time itself into being.
With the exception of material causation, which is not what we're talking about here, causes are never coincident with their effects. There are 4 different kinds of causal interaction. There are the weak and strong nuclear interactions, the electromagnetic...
What the f*** is this shit? This guy's rattling off the 4 fundamental forces and arbitrarily redefining them as 4 kinds of causal interactions? First off, this is a huge category error, since cause is a philosophical category, not a scientific category. This is as egregious a pseudo-philosophical, pseudo-scientific fudge as Lawrence Krauss redefining a quantum vacuum as nothing. Secondly, when we're talking about God being the cause of the universe, obviously God is not a force propagating through a field, because God created forces, and God created fields, and is causally prior to both.
Now, Cameron Barthuse's response. The first objection was that x begins to exist at t if there's a time prior to t at which x does not exist. The second is that if there was no change from a point in time t where x does not exist to a point in time t plus 1 in which x did exist, there's nothing to be explained. The third option is that the universe didn't begin to exist, it merely has a front temporal edge. Let's review the Kalam argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause, the universe begins to exist, the universe has a cause. Now, it seems clear to me that objections 1 and 3 target premise 2, and objection 2 targets premise 1. Objection 1 and 3 aim to show that the universe never began to exist. In TMM's view, whatever begins to exist must be preceded by a temporal moment in which it does not exist. The universe doesn't fit that criteria, therefore the universe didn't begin to exist. I think there are clear counterexamples to this view. Imagine a world in which nothing exists. No space, no time, no matter, no energy, no gods, nothing. Then all of a sudden a cheeseburger exists. Since this cheeseburger exists, space, time, matter, and energy exist, but notice, this cheeseburger merely has a frontal temporal edge. Once we get back the first moment the cheeseburger exists, there's no moment prior at which it didn't exist. Shall we conclude that the cheeseburger never began to exist? Clearly not, the cheeseburger clearly began to exist, the same is true of the universe, so 2 is still true. Objection 2 is aimed at premise 1. It states that unless x has a preceding moment that describes its non-existence, there is no need to explain x at t. I can't see any reason whatsoever to think this is true. Look at your phone. Your phone began to exist, but let's extend how long your phone has existed. Let's say it has existed forever. Does that mean we no longer need an explanation for it? Merely extending the amount of time it's existed into the past doesn't seem to remove the need for an explanation. The reason this is relevant here is because if your phone has existed for all of eternity, there was no prior moment in which it didn't exist. Yet it is perfectly coherent to ask why an eternal phone exists. Why doesn't no phone exist? Why does a different phone exist? This renders the objection false. Moreover, even if we shouldn't seek an explanation for the existence of a ruler, in virtue of its having a first inch, we still want to know why any such ruler exists. Why does that ruler exist? Why not a different one? Why no ruler at all? Now, there is also the objection that there is a multiverse or there is an infinite universe, or whatever. But this is not what the evidence suggests. This is not what the cosmic background radiation shows us. This is not what the second law of thermodynamics shows us. This is not what Einstein's theory of general relativity shows us. And I can just answer all of these objections that either our universe is infinite or there's a multiverse just through a simple quotation, just simple quote by Alexander Valenkin. The answer to the question, did the universe have a beginning, is it probably did. We have no viable models of an eternal universe. The BGV theorem gives us reasons to believe that such models simply cannot be constructed. And Alexander Valenkin also tells us that if there is a multiverse, every universe seems to need a cosmic beginning.